this is it then. Nobody else is coming? Okay. Just us three. Ooh.
That's a quorum.
Yep. Howdy, y'all. I'd like to, first of all, thank you for letting me bang my gavel and call open our meeting of the SRWA. To start off with, can we confirm we have a quorum? Thank you very much. And do we have any public comments? No? Any staff comments? Anybody want to get up here and yell? No? Okay. So, first action item will be consideration and possible action on approval of the October 2nd, 2023 board meeting minutes. Do we have a?
I am so moved.
I wasn't here, so I'll let you make the second.
Oh, okay, I'll second that
I'm
then.
in favor of it, I just wasn't here, so.
Fair enough. All in favor? Say aye. All against? Motion passes. Second item for discussion is the general manager's report.
So, Mr. President, we do have an additional presentation. We want to talk about the drought update, and so we have Lupe Garcia here to give a brief presentation on that, if that's okay with you all, and then we'll go into the regular items that we have in here for the location of the future meetings, the operational and financial report, and then the update on the optimization study.
Sounds great, Lupe. We're asking for a 40 or 50-minute update, I think we said. Brief is great.
Hopefully, this is definitely going to be a brief presentation. Thank you, boards, for being here. So right now, I'm just going to give a brief update on the drought updates. And just to start off with, we got the latest numbers back in October 28th. These numbers, the reservoirs stood at 21%. This is down from last year at the same time at 31.5%. So we do have that big drop of 10% from year to year in difference. If you're not aware where Amistad and Falcon Dam are at, we do have them highlighted there in red, circled in red. Those are where we do get our water storage numbers from. So this is just we keep track, a trending track of how the water is being, is going from month through month, but you can see here we're still going in that downward trend since June of this year. So it is projected for us to continue going in that downtrend. However, the severity of it is not, it is kind of decreasing. From August to September, this number right here, we did see a drop in percentage. Usually this was going to be a little bit more of a plateau area. But the reason for that is they changed our calculation formula from Falcon and Amistad dams having to do with sedimentation, taking into account sedimentation. The last formula that they were using was a sedimentation study that was done back in 2005. So they since then updated it to a new sediment study for the reservoirs, updated it to 2014. So currently right now they're beginning to do a new study for sediment in the reservoirs for hopefully coming out in 2025. So that's just an update in regards to that. So right now I'm going to show you two different models that the National Weather Service kind of put out there in regard with NOAA. So these two models, this one was released in October 31st, and it does show us in this area here that drought will be persisting. However, they since released just a further updated one that shows us kind of uptrend, and for the drought will remain, but it will improve in our area. Now, these models, the way they're calculated is having to do with soil moisture. Okay, so this is just rain, soil moisture. This has nothing to do with where we get our water source from. And our water source, of course, I did mention, we have Amistad over here and Falcon further downstream. But if you see the watershed location, you can see that the drought will persist in that area up here, as you can see in dark brown. So what does that mean for us? So sufficient inflows from Mexican reservoirs serving the lower Rio Grande Valley watershed, they're unlikely to refill during what they call the cool season during winter. So the combined share of water in Amistad and Falcon Reservoir is predicted to continue at or near stage 2 triggers throughout winter. Based on the National Weather Service update they provided to us, the drought dryness should remain but improve, and that's having to do with soil moisture only. Now, with cold fronts and cold snaps, they're likely to favor occasional, not frequent. So the sharpness in temperature difference, it is going to cause us to have a little bit more of a light rain to drizzle compared to what we would normally have. We're going to be having these trends of cool to hot. So those changes are going to definitely help us have a little bit more moisture here in the Rio Grande Valley, meaning that we are not going to have that big need to draw a lot of water from either the river or, in this case, SRWA for water use. So with this in mind, we should see a decrease in water demands, which normally seasonally tracks with the years in the past. And that does conclude my update. If there's any questions?
The Pacific storms that out there, they're supposed to move, did we get any of that, or are they gonna get?
So the question was if we got any kind of rain or anything like that from the Pacific storms. They stopped at the Sierra Mountains. They did not make it past the Sierras. So a lot of it stayed on west side of Mexico.
It didn't make it across the mountain.
No, it didn't. Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of times that's where we get our big relief. When
Yeah.
you get a storm on the west,
Yeah.
in the Pacific, and it would come across, and then it would go through the watershed and fill the land. Yeah, we've had it fill the dam up in one city once.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we had the perfect wall develop in which we had a cold front move through when the hurricane was coming over here. So it stopped at the Sierras, yes.
Well, we have capacity for one, man. We're ready for the one.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do have the capacity.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll move on to the next item, and we have the discussion of location for future meetings, and Mark is going to give a brief update of where we're at.
Mark Dombrowski, Chief Operating Officer. So I know previous meetings, there was a desire to move the meetings back to SRWA off of 511. And one of the things that we're limited by was live streaming the meetings. And so our IT group has developed a solution where we can start live streaming from SRWA. We think we can get that solution acquired and implemented for your meetings after February 1st. So if so, we can, at your direction, move the meetings back to SRWA after February 1st.
Now I have a question about
Okay.
this. For the city of Brownsville, is live streaming now a requirement?
I'm going to defer right now with Cody Falkus on there, and according to the charter, right now, the requirement is for all boards, but PUB has an independency. Cody, are you on?
Yeah, so SRWA would not meet those requirements based on my reading of the resolution. Because the requirements under the resolution apply specifically to those that have to meet the financial declaration obligation. And since the board membership under SRWA includes folks that are not subject to the financial disclosure requirement, under the city's resolution, you would not be required to meet that resolution under SRWA.
Okay, thank you. And it might be good to know, actually, if your organizations have any kind of live stream requirement, or no?
No,
Okay,
there's no under the Open Meetings Act, there's not a requirement
Right, right. I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, we at least honored most of our memberships governing, I guess, cities' requirements, but, yep.
Yeah, just for the record, since the members shook their heads as a no, just, for the
Oh.
audio recording, they're mentioning that all of the members of SRWA are saying no, that they don't have any requirements for live streaming.
Okay, okay, so,
Just for the record, the port does live stream its meetings, but we don't have a requirement to do so for SW, because we're a minor shareholder here, and it's not something we have, but, whatever y'all want to do on that.
okay, would you guys be okay with waiting until February, March, I guess, when this solution is implemented to have our first meeting there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I was suggesting the every quarter so that we could get, everybody go over there and see what's going on and because I hate to have everybody in this room have to drive all the way.
Drive all the way over
They
here.
don't have to. So that was my intention, but whatever works. And
No,
maybe
right, I mean,
everybody here
we'll-
doesn't have to go there, I don't know.
We'll have something set up soon, and I think, unless we have a reason, February, we should aim for maybe trying
February's
to.
fine.
Yeah, más o menos. Sounds good?
Yeah, fine.
Sounds great.
Same thing on Monday at noon. and first
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, well, yeah, I think so. So thank you for the update.
And the next, we have the update. Thank you so much. And the next one, we have the operation and financial report. Mr. Garza's coming up to the podium.
Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Jose Armando Garza, and I'll be presenting the production and distribution report for the month ended September 30th, 2023. And this is going to be on tab 2 of your board binder. As you can see, this report summarizes the end of fiscal year 2023. And I'm going to start on column C. The total production for fiscal year 2023 was 2,544.489 million gallons, and that was for an average of 6.971 million gallons per day. For Brunswick PUB, the plant distributed 2,215.767 million gallons. Then that was for an average of 6.071 million gallons per day. For column G, we have the distribution for Valley Mud number 2 for a total of 63.683 million gallons. That was for an average of 0.174 million gallons per day. Next, under column H, we have the distribution for City of Los Fresnos, and that was at 206.515 million gallons for an average of 0.566 million gallons per day. Next, we have the credit for B&D, and that was at 53.435 million gallons, and that's for an average of 0.146 million gallons per day. Next, we have the allocation for Indian Lake, and that was at 5.089 million gallons for an average of 0.014 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the true-ups. And as you can see, PUB was under by 148.32 million gallons. Valley Mud was under by 0.18 million gallons. And the City of Los Fresnos was over by 148.5 million gallons. Any questions on this report? Okay, next we have the production and distribution for the month of September 2023. And on the third column from the left, we have the total water production, and that was at 229.925 million gallons for an average of 7.664 million gallons per day. And the column in the far right, that was the water actually distributed out of the plant, and that was at 228.048 million gallons for an average of 7.602 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the chemical consumption for September, and that was at $96,700 with 95 cents. And for the electrical, for September, it was $140,901.68. In the next page, this is our staff recourse events that may reduce water production. And for September, we had an event a scheduled event on September the 9th, where we shut down the plant for 8 hours to do a repair in a leak that was developed in the well field. In the next page, staff compares the water production and distribution for fiscal years 2022 and 2023. As you can see, we did a lot better in 2023 than comparing to 2022. And in the next graph, this is a comparison of water production from the 3 BPUV surface water plants, from the 2 surface water plants versus the RO. And as you can see, SRWA contributed with 27.89% of Brownsville's water demand. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I have none.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next item is the update on the update on the financial report.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is George Rangel, and I am the finance manager here at PUB. I am going to be presenting the SRWA monthly financials at the end of September 30th, 2023. I am going to be concentrating on the far right column labeled fiscal year 2023, year to date. We'll start off with our total operating revenues that came in at $8,090,857. To that, we subtract out our total operating expenses of $5,479,317, gives us operating income of $2,611,540. Moving on to the next page. We're going to go ahead and subtract out our net non-operating expenses of $100,270, gives us income before capital contributions of $2,511,270. To that, we add in capital contributions of $147,382, gives us a change in net position for the end of the year at $2,658,652. We add that to the net position at the beginning of the year, which was $20,265,360, gives us a net position for the end of the year at $22,924,012. And then there is some supplemental information if you all want to dive into the individual O&M accounts if you all have questions on that. Were there any questions or?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll go back now to the update on the optimization study.
Mr. President, members of the board, as you know, SRWA engaged Corolla engineers to do an optimization study, and basically they're studying what it would take to bring the plant up to 10 MGD, to a 10 MGD capacity. I just want to report that the report is at 95% complete, and Corolla is planning on coming next month to do a presentation on their findings. As of now, what we've seen, they're developing a prioritized list of projects with estimated costs. Some of these projects address capacity at the plant, provide for protection of membranes, increase the reliability of the plant. There are some projects that actually provide cost savings. And projects that are still pending are we're replacing in-house 4 valves that we found in the well field that they were spinning freely, so we don't know where those valves are closed or open. Maybe we're having water being choked or not being released to the plant, so we're double checking to make sure that those valves are working. We have already requested a quotation for those valves, or we're just waiting on the valves so we can do the replacements.
So out of all the valves, you only had 4 broken ones?
4 broken ones, yeah, they were spinning freely.
Okay, great.
So we need to double check that they're actually determine whether they're open or closed. And there are, the other thing that was pending, that Corolo is also looking into an electrical reliability study, just to improve reliability on the electrical components.
How often are they being evaluated, the bulbs?
The
Is
well,
there the bulbs, because you're saying that the 4 were broken. How often they go and check everything?
it depends on, like, for example, from time to time, staff needs to replace valves. And whenever we replace valves, we will close that section where that valve is going to be worked on. So we do it as needed whenever the valve or motor need to be replaced.
But there's no something that you have in place where they have to go and check every certain time, only as needed?
No.
In order to prevent this? Because how long were they broken? Is it recently, or they had so much time?
That's
Could have
one
been
thing.
years. No, so one of the things I've been talking to them about, and yeah, we'll see if we can do this, is if we can get the data out, because we have real time, every 15 minutes or so, information about the flow coming in from each of these wells. If we can get that, access to that, we can track it, and all of a sudden you see that flow drop, or, maybe not even all of a sudden, gradually you see the flow drop. You all of a sudden know there's a problem with that line. And so the idea is to make this organization way more data-driven. So we have the information right now. Let's start analyzing it and visualizing it and see what's going on. So we don't have something now, but we are working to get that implemented. And, as it comes up, it would be nice to have that reported out to the board, but, yeah.
The operations department does have a valve exercising program. This is a more linear because it's a straight shot to the well field, and it might be more difficult for them to regularly exercise them, but they should implement it and exercise them. In the city, within the city, anytime we have a water outage, a planned or unplanned water outage, is a chance for them to actually exercise valves, because we have to isolate the area. This is a special case again because it's one sole trunk line pipeline. But they do have an exercise valve. They just need to make sure to implement these valves into the citywide exercising program that they have.
I do like the visualization of taking a valve out for exercise.
It can
but
easily
yes.
be implemented, just bear in mind that that's going to require more shutdowns, and eventually it's going to reduce the production of the plant, at
Right,
least during
right.
that day, right? It's going to take maybe a day or two to go through the valves, and that's going to reduce the production of the plant.
That's why using the sensors we have in
Right.
place to, extrapolate what's going on in the line,
Right.
I think is extremely important. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have updates on that in the next year.
But you'll still have somebody go and physically turn some off and turn them on periodically, or not?
We can, like I said, we can implement that, but in order to do that, we will need to shut down the wells, because we don't want to create a high-pressure point where we can burst the line, right? So we need to shut down the valves, exercise the valves, and then bring everything back up again.
But you have 22 wells, is that correct? Yeah.
20, yeah.
And so you don't have them all running at the same time now?
We have about 17.
Huh? You have 17 running?
Yeah.
Well, then you have 5 that you can open and close the valve on when that's going on.
Right.
Yeah, 15% of your wells aren't being used, which
Right,
gives you a
right,
chance
right.
to look at the
Right.
lines. But yeah, we should really implement something.
What you're saying is open the one that is not working, then close the one that has to be,
Yeah, well, while the pump's off, go
And-
in and
and-
close,
You have
open the
access.
valve and then close the valve. It's.
And
I
that's
don't
what I
think
kind of
they'll lose their
explained
pride
in the
that.
beginning, that every time whenever we have a pump down, is because it's not working, and eventually we're gonna need to come and replace it, and that's when we open and close the valve.
Right.
Right.
But if we did it every 6 months, or something, we wouldn't have to pay for a study, for an optimization study, because we already know that the ones that we're getting water through there are not.
Right, I think what we're saying is this optimization study was great because it pointed out some very real
Right.
lapses in our monitoring program, and we need to not just go to the optimization, we need to implement lessons learned. And I think we all agree, one of the big ones is that, hey, our valves can be broken, and, you know, we can be unaware of what position they're in.
Correct.
So we need to take that to heart and move forward with it so that we have a better plant moving forward.
How
Right.
long- I have a question. How long do we shut, of the 5 that we shut down of the 22, when do they shut those down? How does that cycle, how long is that cycling? How is that?
Yeah, we try to alternate, and it's a
Yeah, I
17.
understand that, but when you alternate,
Uh-huh.
you start at one end and you go to the other and then you go around, or is it just randomly?
Well, staff, you know, each well has its own water quality, right?
Yes.
Some wells range from 2,000 conductivity, and to the one with the worst water quality is 7,000 TDS high. It's a high TDS well. So we try not to operate that well, for example, as much as the other ones, because that's got whatever. If we're drawing water from a high conductivity well, that's going to increase our overall water quality going out the plant, right? So sometimes we try to not operate the wells with high conductivity because that's going to decrease our water quality. So a lot of the times we have those 3 wells, the highest TDS wells, off because of that reason.
But if you have wells out of production, you're not gonna put them back into production?
Yes, if a good well was bad, we have no choice other than using the high quality, the high TDS well.
What needs to be done to fix those wells to where we've got quality water? Because they had quality water at one time. I mean, what's happening to, I think that's where we need to see, especially 5 of them. I mean, that's like 20% of the production.
Yeah, actually, those high TDS wells, initially, 20 years ago, they had high TDS. We haven't seen an increase or decrease. They have the same amount. We just know that that's how the water they're producing, right?
So I think it would be useful to see those numbers, you know, what is the difference? You know, high TDS, is it, you know, triple the TDS of the normal wells? You know, if we had that, we could understand kind of maybe a little bit about the decision-making process. You know, just being able to see a flow chart so we understand what's going on, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, we have the data, and the average TDS coming to the plant once all the water blends in the main header is around 3,700. And like I say, we have some wells at 2,000 and another ones at 7,000. So the blend combined is like 3,700.
So it's roughly triple.
Right.
The good wells versus the high TDS wells, there's a factor of 3 difference.
Correct.
Okay, I mean, because we have, 3 very expensive wells in the ground right now that we don't use. And I think that's an important piece of information to consider going forward in some of our decision-making process, because
We need to do something, if there's a way to clean those wells, do something to those wells.
it's in the water itself, so I don't know if we can, but it's worth asking.
Or at least get them analyzed,
Or is it worth just shutting them down and making, you know, creating, you know, pulling the equipment that we can salvage and creating 3 new wells?
Right. Yeah.
But I feel like this is a question that should be asked, yes.
Yes.
We need to
definitely.
optimize.
Yeah, but we do use them, you know, as whenever we don't have a choice because the good well is out of service, we use them.
so they're gonna blend the water anyway. So they're gonna blend with the other 17 wells.
But your chemical issue goes up also.
Yeah, I
Do we,
understand that.
that's actually a good question. Do we change the way we treat the water when we know the other, the high TDS wells are online? Or do we kind of keep the treatment the same?
Our goal is not to exceed the 1,000 TDS level leaving the plant, right? Because that's the maximum contaminant level that the TCEQ has as a rule. So if, when our membranes are good, new, like right now we have a set of 5 new membranes, those new membranes are actually gonna treat the water to that point below 1,000 TDS, right? But as the membranes get older, maybe after 2-3 years, they're not gonna be rejecting as much salt as when they were new. That's when it becomes a challenge on using those high TDS wells, because the older membranes are not gonna be removing as much salt as they used to when they were new.
Right, right. And so to get rid of some of the TDS, though, you treat it with other chemicals. And you change your treatment level to get rid of manganese and iron and such, right?
Not TDS. The only thing we can do about TDS, we have a blend stream that we blend water. That water doesn't go through the membranes in order to produce more water. One thing we do whenever we're operating a high TDS well, we decrease the amount of blend water we're putting in order to decrease the overall TDS going into the city.
There's no increase in the chemicals if they're using the water. to
Right.
balance it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think getting more information about these high TDS wells and understanding the distribution, and what it really means. So we know what happens. We reduce our water output when we go to a high TDS well because we've reduced the amount of blend water.
Right.
And, okay, fine. So I think we should understand that, the cost associated with that, when we look at, should we drill new well fields?
Right.
Are these worth keeping in service, or, do they cost us more than they're worth?
Right.
What's
And
the
I don't
relative
wanna.
cost? What's the relative cost of installing a new well, as an example, roughly?
Yeah, actually, I saw the preliminary report, and I don't want to steal Corollo's thunder, but I did see that number. It was 2.9 million per well.
How much?
2.9.
2.9 million. And so we drilled a new well, and we just took off the pump and all the equipment we had out of there and moved it. The real expensive is drilling the well, building the house to put on it, and then
Right.
the
And then the
distribution
pipes,
line
yeah.
to hook into the
Yeah,
one
what-
line and acquire the property.
Equipment that can be used would be the pump, the motor, and the column. But that would be about it,
At
and
the
the
same-
electrical.
At the same time, if we're in the droughts, if the drought continues that's going, I don't think we ought to take those wells out of service, because they're a backup, and if you can blend all of that together, and even if you have to put more filters, the filters are cheaper than,
Right.
if you have water, you can filter them and make them. It might increase the cost per million gallons of water, but we'd have the water available without having to drill a bunch of wells, that's, because at $2-point-something million a piece,
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I'm not saying this is what we should do. I'm just saying we don't have the information, even though it
Yeah.
exists. We need a bit more information on this, because
A lot of information.
there's a lot missing. We know we have a few wells that we don't use ever, or rarely.
Rarely.
And so this is very critical for some of our future design steps.
Right.
So I would recommend, and even pointing them out on a map, is this just an area we should avoid?
Yeah,
in the
we have that.
future?
We can bring that in a map, so you all can see where the high TDS wells are. And if you can see if you see at the well field, it is a certain area of the well field where there's more higher TDS than on the other side.
Good, so we know,
Yeah.
any future development, stay away from that.
Maybe, we stay away from this area,
Yeah.
expand towards this other area, right, with a
Now-
low TDS.
I want to bring the meeting back, because I know some of us have to run off sooner than later, and not that we don't appreciate this discussion, but,
I'm good with that.
okay. Just we want more information so
Sure.
we can consider, especially in light of this optimization study that's going to be coming out, and we already know some of the conclusions. So being able to balance everything would be useful.
Sure.
It's good because we'll have information, because they're gonna, with the optimization studies, they'll have some recommendations as well, so we'll know what's going on, because we've had a partial discussion already.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you
Sure,
very much.
thank you.
So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which we have, item number 3, the discussion on quarterly investment activity report for the period ending September 30th, 2023 pursuant to Chapter 2256.023 of the Public Funds Investment Act. Mr. Santillan.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Treasury and Accounting Manager. As required by Chapter 2256.023 of the Public Funds Investment Act, we present the investment report for the period ended September 30, 2023. And we're going to go over a presentation that it's also included in your packet and summarizes the investment report. The total average, the total year to maturity yield at the end of the quarter was 5.436. In total days to maturity, 73 days. And then the market value at the end of the quarter, $10,761,965.99. The allocation of our portfolio, going clockwise, beginning with money market, it was 2.84%. Then followed by Texas Term at the CD Certificates of Deposit Program, 22.28%. U.S. Treasury notes and bills, 5.91%. Bank deposits, 1.77%. And then the investment pools, the allocation was 67.20. This is the detail of the data provided in the previous page. This is by asset class. Beginning with the bank deposits, the total market value, which is the third to the last column, total 190,202.58, with a yield ranging from 1.65 to 5.20. Then we have the investment pools with a total market value of 7,231,514.37, with a yield to maturity ranging from 5.31 to 5.79. Then we have the money market, total market value of 305,151.04, yield to maturity 5.24. Then we have the certificates of deposit, total market value $2,398,000 with a yield to maturity ranging from 5.35 to 5.95. And then we have the U.S. Treasury bill with a market value of $636,298 with a yield to maturity of 5.452. Just from prior quarter, the T-bill rate was 5.16. This is the end of the presentation. There's no action required on this agenda. Any questions?
No question.
I think we're set. Thank you very much.
What is our,
Oh.
do we have the yields that we're getting on? I noticed that we've got, it's showing, we've had some unrealized losses when the market
Yeah,
went
that's
down.
on the T-bill. That's the value, as we get closer to maturity, that loss eliminates, there's no loss.
But you know, what our yield, I mean, what the interest rate is on these, we don't have anything on there, do we?
On which one, I'm sorry?
Well, on the overall there, what?
Yeah, it's there on the, it's on your, I have it on the screen, but also it's on the third page of the presentation.
On the third page?
Of the presentation,
Page
or-
5 or page 3?
Okay, let me go back to the investment report.
Because it doesn't say anything about the interest rates that we're
Yeah, but I don't think that.
yeah, normally at PUD.
It's on page, looking at on the agenda item, it's on page number 16,
Number 16. Okay.
page number 3 of the presentation.
Page number 2 of the presentation?
16, let's see.
16.
16
Okay,
of the
that's what I
document, of
thought.
the agenda document.
It's under the investment portfolio summary.
Are your screens working on your, in front of you? I just want to know.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. yeah.
It's the second to the last page on the presentation.
So, here, if you leave it there, I don't see a percent.
It's the last
The
column.
the very last column.
Yield to maturity. That's the rate.
That's the rate. Okay, there we go, there it is,
Sorry.
okay.
Okay, let's see, would you leave it on there?
So for the quarter ending, was it 5.436?
And this is, yeah, this is the yield for each of the investments.
Now, I assume all these investments are fairly safe, like we're not buying penny stocks. So this is something I've always wondered, and why do we choose this portfolio? Like, you know, we're running around with one that has 1.65% Wells Fargo collateralized. Why do we keep money there?
Yes, that's our depository. That's pretty much where we keep the day-to-day balances to meet our immediate cash requirements, to pay the weekly accounts payable requirements. That's why we have, the balance is very low.
So we have three accounts, though, that have, you know, this one-day maturity, which I'm assuming the money is pretty much instantaneously available.
Yes.
Why do we have any money in the 1.65 versus the 5.2 or the 4.35? The Wells Fargo collateralized and insured seem to have way higher yield. Can we access money immediately from those two?
Yes, on the insured, it's like pretty much overnight.
Okay.
Overnight. On the collateralized, it's immediate access right away. We need to send money, a wire, for example.
Okay,
It's immediate fund. That's why the interest is so.
That's our checking account.
got it.
So
Just want to make sure.
you're trying to get enough interest there to overcome the fees they charge you, so it'll kind of balance out? Is that-
On the checking account, yes.
Yeah, on the check, on the operating accounts where money's flowing in and out. The other goes into, so this spring we shall have, those terms there, when, you know, the ones that are down at 232 and, have we looked at what it would cost if we changed them to the 5 point, or so?
Nothing's at 2%.
Huh? We've got a whole string of them here, and on the second group here, on the, not at the Texas,
Just had the investment pools.
Yeah. Can you move money out of, I mean, if you have it in a term, I don't know, I guess there's a penalty of some sort?
The column you're looking at, Mr. Cullen, the 2.3, that's the percent of the portfolio in that particular line. The final column, the last column is the interest that that particular fund earned.
Oh, okay.
That 2.32 you're
Okay,
seeing
but it
is
says
just,
year to date at YTM at cost, so I don't,
that's the interest.
that,
That's
yeah.
the interest.
The last column.
I didn't get the code,
That last
the
column
code to
is
go
the-
with
is
the, with
percentage
the,
of interest that each fund earned. The prior column that says percent of portfolio, that's how much that fund is
okay,
exposed.
okay, that makes it clear. In the future, can you put the interest rate earned instead of YTM at cost? Because, you know, unless you give me a code book to go with it, you know. Thank you.
It wouldn't hurt to maybe
Layman-friendly terms.
have some kind of weighted bar chart where, you know, we see the interest rate earned per dollar or something, so it's all normalized. So we understand kind of total, but anyways,
In
yeah.
addition to this.
In addition to this, yes,
This
yes,
is digging
yes.
down into the
Yeah.
weeds, and the other would be the
Okay.
overall.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, just, thank you.
Also, let me just mention that this quarter, we implemented a new program to present to prepare the investment report. It's more information, but we feel it's a more user-friendly. Let me just show you some. For example, this is one that compares the two current quarter versus previous quarter by investment type. This one gives us the ending balances, the investment income for each of the months, for previous months. So there's various information throughout the report that simple, easy, in my opinion, easy to understand. And but of course, I think we can always add, improve on the titles, perhaps to be more user-friendly.
Cool. Any other questions?
Just the same place here, the YTM.
Yeah,
that
YTM,
cost,
yeah, I
if you
saw
can
that.
take that to interest rate, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Questions?
All set?
All set.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any other changes that we need to do for our next quarterly report, we'll work with Mike and the team to be able to provide a little bit more, a ledger or something that, with a little code book or,
Yeah.
more user-friendly terms.
I'd rather not have a code book. I'd rather change the thing on the top. The-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's a
so,
good problem to have because we weren't getting any interest for the last 8 years or 10 years. I don't know, a long time that I've been on this board.
so our next action item is consideration and possible action to approve the annual supply of reverse osmosis membrane scale inhibitor and cleaners.
Bien.
You're back. This is the wrong one.
No, this is the last.
Yeah, we got to do the next one. I think you got to go to the item number 4.
I guess it's not in there. But it's going to be item 4 on your board binder?
Item 4, yeah, I've got it open.
Okay, then. Okay, the Southmost Regional Water Authority uses a scale inhibitor and membrane cleaner to improve the operations of the reverse osmosis membrane process and extend the life cycle of membranes. A scale inhibitor reduces precipitation of iron, silica, and calcium scaling through the membranes. RO membranes cleaners are used to remove the follens and restore performance of membranes. On April 28, 2023, SRWA contracted Carollo Engineers, Inc. to provide professional engineering services to assist with the competitive procurement of scale inhibitors and RO membrane cleaners. Request for proposal P060-23 for the annual supply of reverse osmosis membrane scale inhibitor and cleaners was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on August 6th and August 13, 2023, posted on the BPUB webpage, and 3 vendors were contacted via phone. The following are the proposals received. And as you can see in there, Maya Solutions, AWC, came in at a total cost of $61,231. Avista Technologies at $98,013, and H2O Innovations at $207,462. The most advantageous qualified proposal is from Amaya Solutions, AWC. The contract has the option to be renewed annually for an additional 2 one-year periods. The term of the contract period is November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2024. SRWA staff recommends awarding the annual contract for skull inhibitor and arrow cleaners to Amaya Solutions, Inc. of Tampa, Florida, for a total contract amount not to exceed $61,231.
Does anybody have a question?
This is a great big difference between one and
It's
the other.
significant.
Right.
I have two questions. One is, the three vendors we see here, are these the three people you reached out to via phone, or did any of these respond?
Yes, these were the ones that were reached via phone.
Okay, okay. And I think we're seeing this a lot more, you know, people aren't looking at these solicitations in the Herald and everything else. So, yeah, I think it's worth asking, you know, in the future to know what your contact list is and why. So, you know, you contacted three of these people. Was it from a Google search? Was it we have previous experience with them? And you don't have to answer now, but, yeah, just it would be good for future reference.
And actually, these three were the ones that were recommended by Corollo. They had
Okay,
experience
so they
working on them.
recommended all three of these,
Right.
and they have no doubt that Amaya Solutions then will be able to deliver at these costs that are significantly cheaper.
Right.
Okay, well, that's all I had to ask.
Well, this is an action item.
Does anybody have any other questions? Anybody want to entertain a motion?
I move to take the Amaya Solutions Incorporated, their bid at $61,231.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. The final action item is discussion on date, time of next board meeting.
So the next board meeting that we have scheduled for SRWA would be on December the 4th. And I just want to note and give you the calendar also on December the 4th. We'll provide you the 2024 meeting calendar for any upcoming board meetings for the calendar year. And if there's any conflicts with any holidays, we'll do that. Just as an example is for January 1st, it falls on a Monday, and so typically that's when we would have had our meeting, but if January 1st happens to be a holiday, so we're going to be having the January 8th meeting for the SRWA, so I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. If there's anything else you want us to address on calendar, we'll be happy to work things out, or any other items that you want to see on subsequent meeting dates, and we're keeping you right at an hour for the meeting.
Okay.
No objection.
No objection? So, I am now entertaining motions to end the meeting.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Meeting's adjourned.